So thank you for any clarification or uncertainty. Okay, so now I am super excited to invite our guest to speak and pour into you this morning. I met Dr. Brenda Combs through the eWomen's Network that I'm a part of here in Phoenix. And we just have such extraordinary women that come through there. And I just learned so much from them. And her story is so powerful. I am just, I'm so excited to talk to you or have her talk to you. So she grew up, Brenda grew up in middle-class family and she fell into a bad crowd, okay? And she began using drugs. She dropped out of school and she was homeless. And during her darkest days on the streets, she endured 10 years of unspeakable trauma. She was beaten, shot, stabbed, raped, and burned with cigarettes. Wow. It took hitting rock bottom for Brenda to find the strength to turn her life around, praying and seeking forgiveness and help. And today, you talk about a woman that's overcome uncertainty and objections. She set her sights high on education. The power of education, you guys. Like seriously, that is the difference. As a single mom of her son, Michael, is that how I say it?
Yes.
Okay. He suffered a massive stroke at birth. She juggled 3 jobs while earning her BS, her master's in education, and her doctorate in education. Today, Dr. Brenda shares her story all over the country, all over the world with a variety of audiences. She has received the national coverage, including an article in Reader's Digest and interviews on CNN and NBC Today Show. Pretty amazing. So today, she is the founder and CEO of her own publishing company, BRC Studio, theater group. She's an actress as well. TV, MTV, Sober Living, and Finding My Shoes Foundation. She's a published author. Wow. I am so excited, Brenda. Thank you so much for being on our call today. And I just don't even know where to begin, but how did you get the shift? What happened and what set your sights on, I'm going to be into education. I'm going to go back to school and I'm going to, like, what happened? And how does that relate to the people here who are growing themselves to build a business and may feel sometimes like they don't have anything? Now, we'd have no excuses after hearing this, by the way.
Good morning, everyone. I firmly believe the key to my success is once I started to believe in myself and know that I already have what it takes to make my dreams and goals become reality, and understanding the power of love and forgiveness. Once I had all of those combined in my pot, the rest was history. I'll share with you, I don't know if you guys can see this, let me see. This was a picture of me the last day I was homeless. That's not this morning without makeup.
Wow, that's amazing. You look sad.
I was.
You look broken, for sure.
I was. You know, my biggest downfall was I had trauma when I was 5. And I was in a school where I was the only girl, the only person of color in my school. This is when they used to do busing. I'm 60 years old now, so this was 60 years ago. And I had a little boy named Grover who did not like me. And one day in front of everyone, he threw mud in me, threw mud in my hair, spit in my face, called me the N-word, and I felt my soul leave my body.
Oh my God.
I ran to my teacher and I told her, you know, Miss Parker, Grover spit on me, he called me stupid, he called me the N-word. And you know, I was expecting her to protect me, to hug me, make me feel better. And instead, she looked me in the face and she said, Brenda, wipe your face and get in line. And I felt totally abandoned, alone, and even worse, like no one cared. So Grover bullied me from kindergarten through sixth grade.
Oh my God.
And when I got to sixth grade, another little Black girl came to the school, and I felt like, oh my God, I have a friend, someone who looks like me. But Debbie was very timid because she had also been bullied at another school that she was at. So the teacher had Debbie and I sitting in the very back of the classroom, and she was doing math. And this is probably why I have math anxiety. I couldn't see the board. I didn't realize then I was nearsighted and needed glasses. And so I asked her if I could move up front so that I could see the board. And in front of the entire class, she told Debbie and I that we smelled and we looked like monkeys, and she made us go sit in the hallway. So we go out and we sit in the hallway, and Debbie started crying. And I realized at that age, this is when I developed strength and decided I can't do this anymore. So I grabbed Debbie's hand and I said, come on, Debbie, we're leaving. And I'm going to go find my mom. And we walked to my mother's job and told my mom what happened. And my mom and dad and Debbie's mom came back to the school. And that was the last day that we went to school there. And so then I was put in the school in my neighborhood. And my neighborhood was predominantly Native American, Black, and Hispanic. And so I enrolled in that school and had another problem. The kids in my own neighborhood made fun of me because they said I talk like a white girl because I spoke proper English. I read a lot because I didn't really have friends, so I really kept to myself. So I read and I started writing. And writing was a way to escape the pain that I was in. And so I struggled in school making friends because I didn't have any confidence in myself. And by the time I got to high school, I overheard two girls one day talking about they were going to graduate from high school early because they were going to go to summer school and get all of their credits. And I thought, well, maybe I'll be happy if I get out of high school and go to college. So I convinced my parents to let me take all of my credits. So I graduated a year early from my high school class and started NAU, Northern Arizona University, on a full ride scholarship. But I found out very quickly I didn't fit in with that crowd either because I was a teenager and I just had no self-confidence, and I lived somewhat of a sheltered life because my parents both worked very hard. They both had a high school degree, and but they worked, and we went to church and we did family activities together. But there was no dating, no slumber parties, no, real fun, if you will. And so when I started college, I was trying to find a group that I could fit in with. And eventually I found that group, the party girls, because the party girls accept everybody with no discrimination, with open arms. So, but I found that because I was young and immature, that I didn't know how to handle partying. So these girls could go out and party and still get up and go to class the next day, and I couldn't get up. So I ended up dropping out of school, and that was the first downfall. And eventually I got into a relationship with a young man, and I came home from work one day, and him and another guy were in the room smoking something out of this glass pipe. I didn't know what it was. And they asked me if I wanted to try it. And I was like, okay, because I just wanted to fit in. And it was cocaine. And I was immediately addicted. And I spent the next couple of years just working, and on the weekends, I was a weekend warrior, getting high on the weekends, going back to work on Monday, getting high on the weekends. And then eventually it went to getting high during the week, leaving work, going to the dope house, going home, going to work, going to the dope house, going home. And then one day I went to the dope house and never left, and ended up coming down to Phoenix And within 3 weeks of being here, I was shot in a drive-by shooting over a bad drug deal. I was hanging out at the time, I didn't know it, but I was hanging out with the baseline killer. For some reason, he never hurt me, never harmed me. I didn't, it was years later when he was eventually caught and convicted. But at the time when I was hanging out with Mark Goodo, I had no clue that my life was potentially on the line. And I ended up in the zone in downtown Phoenix at Cass underneath the 7th Avenue Bridge for 10 years. In that time frame, I was shot, in a drive-by shooting. I was hit with a 9mm and a .357. Took me a year to learn how to walk again. And even after getting out of the hospital, I went right back to the zone because I had nowhere else to go. I was stabbed with a broken beer bottle, burned with cigarettes. I was raped, beaten, and left for dead in an alley. And my life changed one day after being in what they call a cocaine coma for 7 days in the sun. I woke up and realized someone had stolen the shoes off of my feet. And I had to walk a mile in 115-degree heat to get down to the zone where the homeless were. And by the time I made it to the park, I had 2nd and 3rd degree burns on my feet. It was the most excruciating pain that I felt. And when I made it to the park, at some point, I looked up, and in the park, there were homeless people, veterans, mothers, teenagers, kids, whole families. Some were addicts and alcoholics, some had mental health issues, and some just were homeless because they just didn't make good financial decisions. And I looked around the environment that I was in, and I was like, my God, Brenda, what are you doing? Like, I can't, what more could possibly happen to me? And I still survive. So for the first time in 10 years, I simply said my prayers. And it's not that I didn't pray, perhaps when I was out there. I would do like begging prayers, like, oh God, please don't let me get caught today. And I promise if I don't get caught or don't go to jail, I'm going to go home, go to rehab, go back home, make amends to my family, and go to school. But that never happened because I was an addict, and every opportunity I had to get high, I got high because it took the pain away. When I was high, I didn't have to feel the pain. I didn't have to feel the trauma. I didn't have to relive the abuse and the vision of those nightmares over and over again. But on the day that my shoes were stolen, I just said, God, I will do whatever it takes. I don't want to be homeless, and I don't want to be a drug addict anymore, and I need to be healed. And at that moment, I felt a cool breeze of wind blowing on my skin. And for me, it was like the voice of God saying, I hear you. And I got you, Brenda. We'll get through this. So I went and turned myself in because I had absconded, because I had been through 13 programs in and out of jail. And I went and turned myself in, and I was expecting my PO to sign the warrant. And I was already prepared mentally to do 3 years in prison and get out and, go to rehab and go home and make amends to my family and go to school. But my PO had other plans. She welcomed me into her office. I smelled terrible. I hadn't had a shower or brushed my teeth in weeks. She shook my hand. She welcomed me into her office with a smile. And she looked me in the eye and she said, Brenda Combs, I don't know how to explain this, but there's something different about you. I see something in you, and I'm not going to sign that warrant. And she told me she was going to give me one more opportunity to get myself together, because she told me she was going to love me until I was able to love myself. So I went into my 13th program, not expecting much success, but by the grace of God, I made it through my 13th program. I then moved into sober living. It was really hard because I literally only had the clothes on my back. I didn't have ID. I didn't have Social Security card. I had nothing. I started at ground zero. There were many days when I was hungry, even in sobriety, because it was a hard climb. But I made it through there, and I did 18 months in sober living and got myself together. I got married. Now, I will say I made a mistake. I married a man that I met in rehab. So note to anyone out there, don't do that. It doesn't work. 5 years later, I gave birth to my beautiful son, Michael, who suffered a massive stroke at birth. He has permanent brain damage in the left cortex part of his brain. He was paralyzed. He couldn't swallow. And the doctors told me, because I was an uneducated Black woman with a criminal record, that it would be better for me to put him into some type of program because I wouldn't be able to take care of him. And so I asked the doctors, will he live? And they said yes. And so then that's when I knew I was going to have to make me better in order to help him get better. And so I enrolled in school. And for the next 7 years, I worked 2 to 3 jobs. I completed my undergrad in human services. I enrolled in Grand Canyon University's Master's of Special Education. Because my son had special needs. So I knew that I was going to be his first teacher, and I wanted to do everything in my power so that he and I would not continue being a statistic. And after I completed my first course, I thought, I made it through my undergrad, which to me is the hardest degree to get because you don't know what the expectations are. And so I talked to my counselor at GCU and told her, hey, I know this probably sounds crazy and it's far-fetched, but maybe I have a dream that maybe I could even go into an EDD or a PhD program, and but I want to do it before I'm 50. And so I wrote them a compelling letter, and they allowed me to triple up on my classes. So I started my 3-year master's program on January 5th and completed it December 24th of the same year. Oh, and I know. I'm also ADD, so that probably had something to do with it as well. But completing my master's in a year got the attention of the White House. And at my graduation, I was honored by former First Lady Laura Bush and President George W. Bush naming me Distinguished Teacher of the Year. A week later, I was on the CNN Heroes show, and where they surprised me with a full ride scholarship. And I was the first woman to be enrolled in Grand Canyon University's first doctoral program, making history. Former homeless lady, drug addict, homeless, and I was the first enrollee in their brand new doctoral program. And I was in the first graduating class of doctors. I graduated completing my doctorate and publishing my dissertation in 3 years, and was in the first graduating class of doctors from Grand Canyon University. After that, I went on this whirlwind speaking tour. I did the Today Show. I was in Time Magazine. I was honored by Ben Affleck at a community service event at the Music Box in Los Angeles. I did Oprah Radio twice. I was on the Tom Bohemian Show, Wendy Williams. I've done a lot of national TV shows and radio. I've traveled around the world sharing my story. I've been the keynote speaker at national educational conventions and conferences. And I started my publishing company, BRC Publishing, where let me back up. I actually had a contract with Simon & Schuster to publish my book. And they were taking a long time, and the ADD in me was probably a little impatient. And 3 years later, my book still wasn't published. So when it was time to renew my contract, I decided not to renew it and to do it myself. So I published my book myself, Finding My Shoes, which became a bestseller on day one, which you can buy it on Amazon or Target, Walmart, Barnes & Noble. And this book has been a bestseller probably 200 times since 2015 when I published it. My son, Michael, made a full recovery from his stroke. Today, he is 23 years old. He is on a basketball scholarship. He is the captain of his basketball team. He plays at Northwest Indian College. And in their division for their NCAA, they were the champions of their the league that they're in. He plays in the Native American League, and he goes to a Native American college. So he won his championship and he was MVP.
Oh my gosh.
And when Michael was 13, let me grab this picture real quick.
Oh, wow. Absolutely incredible.
When Michael was 13, he brought 4 homeless teenagers home, and I ended up adopting them. We now have 6 boys because we ended up adopting another young man from Trinidad. But so we ended up adopting.
Oh my gosh. Let me see that. Let me get you on the big screen here. Oh, what a beautiful family.
All of my boys, 3 of them are athletes. They all play basketball. I have 2 entrepreneurs, and one of my sons works for the bank. And then at some point, I decided to give back to the community. So I started my own nonprofit called Finding My Shoes Foundation. We go out to the 7th Avenue Bridge, the zone, and we pass out water and hygiene items and shoes and hugs. And I let people know that I love them and that I was there with them, and that if I can do it, they can do it. And my spiritual mother, this is Dr. Soki Mesa. She was homeless and a prostitute for over 25 years. She got clean, got her undergrad, got her master's, completed her doctorate, and really helped mentor me, and moved in with me and the boys and the family. And we sold her house. And the man that bought her house had me come see the house after he remodeled it. And I walked through the house and I prayed that whoever moved into that house, that they would have safe, clean, stable housing, because I understand what it's like to be homeless. And maybe a month or so later, he called me and said that the Lord had been dealing with him in regards to this house because no one was buying it. And the Lord told him he had to give me Soki's house back so that we could use it for sober living to help women. That was, 5 years ago? So we became partners. Today we have 7 sober living homes. We've partnered up and started our first behavioral health clinic. I'm actually in the clinic right now. We have about 10 clients that we are servicing their behavioral health, mental health, and addiction issues, and providing them with clean, safe, stable housing. And giving them an opportunity to let them know that, everybody makes mistakes. And there's no judgment here, because I understand the power of forgiveness and loving others, and we just want to be able to let people know that they already have what it takes inside of them to be successful, to turn their lives around, and to make better choices. And sometimes some people need a helping hand, and they just need the understanding that they can do it. It took me 13 rehabs to make it, but I made it. And if I can do it, I need to be that example. It is my calling to go back out into the world and let them know everyone has a story. It doesn't have to be as traumatic as mine, but everyone has a story, and everyone counts. Everybody matters. Every homeless person and addict out there, there's somebody on earth that loves them, that needs them, that's concerned about them, that cares about them, because everybody makes mistakes. And so if we don't learn how to love and forgive and be kind, nothing's going to change. I know that passing out water and hygiene kits is not the answer to ending homelessness, but I promise you it makes a difference in that homeless person's life to have some water, to have a pair of shoes, to have some hygiene, because it lets them know that they are worthy. And so I just want to share with you something that I always do with all of my students, is that music to me is therapy for my soul. And so I always incorporate music, because now is the time. Now is the time. We have to take advantage of today, of right now, of being loving and kind, and letting people know that they can make their goals and dreams come true, but they have to take advantage of the time now. If you want to be somebody, If you wanna go somewhere, you better wake up and pay attention. The time is now or never to make your dreams come true. You better wake up and pay attention if you wanna be somebody. If you wanna go somewhere, you better wake up and pay attention. The time is now or never to make your dreams come true. You better wake up and pay attention. So you guys, for today, make it a choice to be loving, to be kind, to understand the power of forgiveness. And that applies not only to our daily lives and our families, but also in the workplace. Not everyone that you work with, not all of your customers, your managers, your bosses, whatever your work situation is, not everyone's going to be kind, loving, and forgiving. But it's all in what you do. And it's all in how you think and how you carry yourself and what you believe. And I believe that we collectively have what it takes to make our world, our community, our neighborhood, our families, the best that it can be by believing in yourself and your ability to do your best, because you're intelligent and you're capable of achieving greatness and making an impact in your community. So I pray that God blesses all of you with health, wealth, love, joy, peace, and happiness all the days of your lives. And thank you for allowing me to share my story with you. And I pray nothing but blessings for you all.
Wow. Brenda, thank you so much. There's just amen. Amen to all that you're saying. Your story is beautiful. You are beautiful. You are love, light, and hope. And if anyone can overcome, if you overcame what you overcame, there's nothing that stands in our way of helping people and changing lives. We just have to get out of our way and do it. You know, just quickly, and I know we're running a little bit over, but it's okay. Ted Lasso, I don't know if you watched that show, but there's a quote that he did, and it was, "I hope none of us are judged for our actions in our weakest moment, but for the strength we show when given a second chance." So I'm so grateful to you for sharing and pouring into us. I can't believe people can be so cruel. It's just unfathomable. But you rose to the top and you overcame even that to share your love and light to the world and inspire so many others. So this has had a ripple effect, and I appreciate you. I hope I see you tomorrow. Will I see you at eWomen's?
Yes, I'm actually going to the dinner tonight, and I will be there tomorrow. And if you guys, if anyone has any questions or if there's anything that I can do, I'm on all social media, and Marissa has my contact information. So I'm always willing to share and encourage and help, because I know what it feels like, you know, to have nothing and to feel like nothing. Today, I feel fantastic. And I know that the journey that I went on and the journey that everyone goes on, that was my calling. You know, would I change anything? I would have to honestly say no, because I needed every experience that I went through in order to be the Dr. Brenda Combs that you see today. And if I would have changed one thing, because I know how the mind is when it comes to addiction and alcoholism and mental health issues, if I'd have changed one thing, it would have changed the whole trajectory of my future. So I needed that journey, you know, and I'm glad that I was able to survive it, and I'm thriving today. So
yes,
if I can do it, anyone can do it. It's possible.
We need to get you speaking at our global convention. I need to work on that. All right. Thank you again so much, everybody, for being on. And Brenda, thank you. And I'll give you a big hug tomorrow. I can't wait to see you. All right, everybody.
Have a great day.
Have a great day, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.